Hello, welcome to FreeCAD. We'll be learning about the part workshop today. So you need to select part from this drop-down menu. If you accidentally select part design or one of the others, then you will have trouble because you won't have access to any of the lovely tools we are using today. So today we will be learning about these 5 wonderful shapes. We'll be learning about all of the different ways you can view your shapes. You'll be learning about these 2 ways of altering your shapes, and you'll be learning how to combine some shapes. Isn't that exciting? Now let's dive straight in with a cube solid. Now, as you can see, our cube solid looks a bit like a square because we are looking at it from the front view, which is this one. If we look at it from any of these views, then we will also get another square. So the way that we are going to look at it is with the axonometric view, which is a very, very fancy way of saying we are looking at it from this corner right here. Now, as you will see, I can get a nice light show by putting my mouse over these sides. We're going to click on any one of these sides. It does not matter which. It doesn't even matter if you select a line like that one. And we will have this menu open. We are going to ignore the map mode because that only applies to things which are stuck to something else and our cube isn't. We are instead going to have a look at our placement. I'm going to press the ... button, and we're going to do a bit of translation. What that means is just that we are punting our shape backwards, forwards, from side to side, and even up and down. Very exciting. Now, the type of rotation we will be using is rotation axis with angle. You can use the Euler angles. If you're familiar with those, I'm not, so we're going to ignore them for now. We will look at our handy axis guide down here to check which axis we are going to be going around, and it seems that if we want to rotate around the horizontal, if we want to rotate it on the horizontal around the vertical axis, then we need to be using the Z axis to rotate around. So, well, rotate like so. And similarly, we can also rotate around the X or Y angles, and it will provide a slightly different effect. Now, if we've decided that we don't really like our varied translations and rotations, we can just click the cancel button and our cube will miraculously teleport back into its original space, like a good cube. Now, it has 3 other parameters down here: the length, the width, and the height. These are all very self-explanatory. However, there are 3 different ways of modifying them. One, you click these little buttons here, which will increase or decrease the length of your box. The second method is just to put a new number in there, and there we go. Lo and behold, we can change the width of our box. Finally, we can click the F of X button here, and we can put in something like length plus width minus 2.00 millimeters, and then we will get 5 plus 8 minus 2. Now, if we change the width here, we'll increase it by 2, then suddenly the height will go up as well to match. Similarly, if we increase the length, the height will continue to get ever more ridiculous. Now, we will look at some of the other shapes that we can make. We'll start with a cylinder. A cylinder has 3 different parameters down here, as well as the placement, which works exactly the same way it did last time. The radius, so we can change the radius to make it thicker or thinner. If we accidentally set it to 0, it won't change from what it was last time. We have the height, and we can increase or decrease that. And finally, we have the angle, which allows us to make a nice semi-cylinder or even a quarter cylinder if the mood so takes us. Next, we will have a sphere solid, and again it has a radius, not very original that, and you can make it smaller or larger. This angle 1 here and angle 2 cut off from the top and the bottom, so if you change those you'll get most of the sphere cut away, and this angle 3 works the same as the cylinder angle, so you can make a half disc, I suppose, like that, and so on and so forth. Next we have the cone. The radius 1 is the radius of the point. This is the only radius that you can actually legitimately set to 0 without it complaining at you. It will taper off into a nice point there. Radius 2 is the radius of this disc here. So again, you can change that, and the height, we know how the height works. The angle works the same way that it did the last 2 times. There we go, we have a nice half cylinder there. Finally, we have the torus. It has 2 radii. This one is the radius of the ring as a whole. So if we reduce that a little bit, then we will get a smaller ring. And if we reduce this radius, we will get a thinner ring. So we can reduce it to that. This angle 3 works the same way that it did last time, again giving us a nice semi-torus. These 2 angles, you'll see what they do in a moment. It's easier to demonstrate than to explain that they cut bits off here, so you can get this nice mutant water slide effect right here. And we will then proceed to do some shape editing. So we'll create a new cube, and we can select one of these edges and use the fillet tool. You see we've got edge 6, our good friend here, and if we just click the OK button, we get this nice effect where it curves like that. We can use Ctrl Z to get rid of it. Now, if we were to increase the radius of that, see, we are increasing the radius fairly significantly, and then click OK, then we just get a larger curve in there. The chamfer tool does manifestly the same thing, except that rather than creating a curve, it creates a simple cut. Now, the last thing I'd like to show you today is what happens if we have more than one shape and want to combine them. So we will use Control-click and select both of them. And now we can run a Boolean operation with 2 shapes. Now, rather than clicking that and go through all the dialogues, we do have these 3 here, which are done for us. So the first one is union. We now have this fusion, which is a single shape comprising both the cylinder and the cube. The second thing that we can do is we can select both of them, and we can click make a cut of 2 shapes. And the second one that we will select is cut out of the first one. Now, if we do that the wrong way round, if we select the cylinder and then the cube and make a cut, then we'll just get this 3/4 cylinder that we could have made anyway, so be careful around which one you're selecting. You need to cut the second one out of the first one. Now, the last thing that you can do is you can make an intersection of 2 shapes. Now, in this case, we could have done this anyway, but I will show you, and it will only create the areas where they cross. Now, that is perhaps more useful in different circumstances. For example, suppose I were to rotate this cylinder and I wanted only the area that this rotation shared with the cube. I can simply select both of them and get this weird intersection between the cylinder and the cube. Now, I hope that that has been informative and quite fun. Oh yes, if you delete the shape, then it will actually delete the new shape that it's created here, rather than deleting its component shapes. So if you want to get rid of them, you'll have to do that manually. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today and learned something. Thank you very much.